What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today we are going to talk about how you can diagnose and potentially fix a misfire. Coming up. Alrighty guys, so today we're going to talk about how you can diagnose and fix a misfire, and I jotted down some notes here, that way I don't lose my train of thought and go off like I always do. So let's get started. First off, let us describe what a misfire is. So a misfire is when basically the engine isn't running right, it's running rough. So timing could be off, spark plugs could be bad, ignition coils could be bad, wires could be bad, faulty fuel injectors, so on and so forth. Things like that can be bad. No compression in the cylinder, that causes a misfire. Misfires is basically a roughness in the engine. It's not firing in the correct sequential order. It's like a dead cylinder, so it's just going along for the ride, and it's like a dead hand. When you have a dead hand, it's super heavy. You can feel the heaviness. That is what a misfire basically is in the simplest terms I can think of. Basically it's just a dead cylinder or more that's going along for the ride, and it's not activating as it should. It's not being it's not working with the group as it should. I don't know how to explain this. It's kind of difficult. If anybody has a better explanation, leave it in the comment section below. Anyway, let's move on. So the most common of engine misfires is the lack of spark. Bad wire, faulty ignition coil, like what I said. The ignition coil basically generates the electricity, then it goes to the wire and then to the plug. These are some of the common causes, which I already said. The faulty ignition coil, the bad wires, the spark plug, even bad fuel injectors. And one of the most extreme causes can be worn piston rings with the loss of compression. Now, you better pray and hope that it's not a worn piston ring, but usually that's for like old engines, not really these. If not really for yours that has less mileage. Well, you know what, anything can happen, so just check for everything. Flashing engine light usually indicates that there is a misfire and multiple misfire. Usually with vibration, sputtering, and thumping, you can definitely tell when your vehicle is misfiring because you will feel that. So you get a multimeter and you can ohm out the parts that you want to check, such as the ignition coil. If you get a repair manual or go online, you can actually find out how much ohms your ignition coil should be reading, and if it's not in that range, well then chances are the ignition coil is bad. Usually what I do is first I would swap the ignition coil. So if I plug in my OBD2 scanner and it says, hey, cylinder 2 is misfiring, and I want to figure out if it's the coil or the plug, right? What I would do is I would take ignition 1 coil, cylinder 1 coil, swap it with number 2, and take 2 and swap it with 1. And now if my misfire jumps from 2 to 1, then I know that the ignition coil that was originally on 2 is bad. Also, another thing you can do is if the engine is running rough and you unplug the coil, like it says cylinder 2 is bad and you unplug cylinder 2 and it's running better, most likely it's that one. Same thing for the spark plug. If you guys did the coil thing and no change, what you would do is swap plugs. Obviously, when you look at the plug, you can tell it's messed up. If it looks jacked up, then get a set of new plugs. Don't be like one of those people who just change one plug and one coil. I can't stand people who do stuff like that. I get it. If money is tight, I get it. You know, fine. Do what you gotta do. But if you can really expense the money and do it right the first time. Change all your plugs if the plugs are needed. Don't just change one, because no, change all. If one coil is needed, change all, because sooner or later the others will go. Just change all and start fresh. That's how I look at it. That's how I do things. You can save the good ones for a rainy day. Even sell them. Sell the used ignition coils. People will buy them back, but I would just save them for a rainy day, just in case you don't have the money to make the funds next time it happens. You can use the older ones just to run it, but I would just swap them out. That's what I do. For the piston rings, what you want to do is check the compression. Do a compression test. You can get that kit at Harbor Freight. I'll leave a link in the description below for you guys. If you want one of those, plug it into each cylinder, do a dry compression test, and then do a wet one. If you do the dry compression test, let's say 4 cylinders, you mark down, you crank it a few times, take the plug out, screw in the thing, plug your gauge in, crank it a few times, and record your findings. I usually remove the fuel pump relay and stuff like that. I remove all of that so it doesn't turn on me. It's just gonna crank. That's what you want. You just want to read the compression. So you do a dry run, get the readings for all 4 if it's a 4-cylinder. Then you do it again because you just want to make sure that you're getting in the same range. Then you want to take a little bit of oil and pour it in each one of the cylinders, just a little bit. Usually if there is worn compression rings, it'll seal the space in the ring and it'll give you a higher compression. Now if it seals and gives you a higher compression, then you know you have worn compression rings. So that's one way that you can do that as well. So guys, if you guys have anything else that you want to add, just leave it in the comment section below. Let us know. Teach me something new. Teach everyone else something new. Let me know what tricks that you guys do to figure out your misfires. And with that being said, I'll see y'all for the next one. Peace.